Are we going live now, bud?
We are live.
We are live already. Holy cow.
Does that make you nervous?
Think all the girlfriends you're gonna have now being on TV.
He doesn't have a problem with that.
You got too many girlfriends already?
Oh, I thought they were talking about.
It's alright, man. Good selection. You can pick and choose.
We're live, but I didn't turn the mic. Might have to turn yours off and then turn it back on. So it stays green? Is it green?
No, it was nothing.
There you go.
Mine's green.
Hello. Can anybody hear me in the back?
All right, I'm going to start here with this. Hey, we're at Hoagie's Garage tonight, and we're told we always kind of like it when we have people come in person.
Yeah, because then I can stand off camera and hide a little bit. Nobody knows I'm here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. And then,
No.
we can stand in front of the small guys.
Yeah,
I'm not
they can't see him.
just kidding you, big guy. Just kidding you. I didn't get to have you for PE this year, though. No. How was your PE teacher this year?
He was pretty good.
You sure? Was he better than me?
No.
Oh, I know you're just saying that because I'm here. But
That's Bud sliding in the 5 under the table.
Yep. I missed the stories because you weren't there.
Did I? Let's be honest, okay? Have I got really, really loud, yelled at your class about anything that I wasn't happy about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of get loud at times, don't I? It was never your fault, though. I can attest to that. It wasn't you.
Because getting old.
There's some other kids that I had to address, right? Yeah. So we're here with the Ulmers. We got Ty. I coached him in football. Had him in school. Craig, the dad. And then Trace here. Going to be 7th grader next year. Oh, my gosh. So...
Old boy already.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you just, I know you have your own business, so let's just maybe start by saying who you are, what you're doing. Good way to promote your business and get some more vehicles to come your way.
Yep.
And then Craig, you can say what you do, and then I pretty much introduced you already, Trace, but you can
You're
say
out of
something
luck.
if
You
you
just gotta
want.
sit here.
It's the summertime. We know what he does.
Yeah, right. Well, my name's Ty Ulmer. I live in Larchwood, but I have a body shop and auto glass shop in Harrisburg. We repair pretty much every make and model. A lot of cars we work on are, it's your nice vehicles. So typically it's 2016 or newer. But we're located in Harrisburg, but we have a lot of customers from Rock Rapids, Larchwood, Inwood, Lester. I've had cars dropped off from Rapid City, from Beersford, from Menno, Yankton area. So our service radius is pretty big, and we offer free estimates and free loaner vehicles for everybody. So
you're saying my 69 I got parked out back, I need to bring it to your place? That's outside the 2016 and newer?
Yeah, well,
is that what I'm gathering?
well, I mean, I'll work on it. I mean, I've got a 95 Ford Bronco coming in later in the month. So it's not that I don't work on them, but that's where I'm trained and that's where I'm certified in. So
Your concentration is on the collision side of things.
yeah,
and
yeah,
glass.
it's typically your nice vehicle that you got into an accident and you want it fixed up right away. So
Sure.
Absolutely. What about you, Craig?
Yep, Craig Ulmer here. These two, Yahoo's dad, and then our daughter, Tori, and my wife, Ivy. And we live in Larchwood. I'm engineering manager over at Diversified Technologies in George, which is better known to the locals as Sudenga Industries and Duralift. We moved here about 25 years ago. Otherwise, grew up in Menno, South Dakota, and a little bit later we're going to talk about the Sweet Pain Pulling Tractor, and that's where Menno, South Dakota is where it was born.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Now,
I got to go back to just a little bit. You said diversified, so you're over at Suitgate.
Yep.
How many square feet is that new building they put up?
How about I put it this way? It's 3.5 acres.
Of building. It's big. I know that.
and it's air conditioned, right?
And it's air conditioned. Yep.
in George?
It's outside of Georgia.
Outside of Georgia Mile.
Mile east, mile north. Yep. So the building that we put up is 300 by 500, and all the welders and press brakes and all the robot
They don't
welders and the
have.
powder
They're saying
coat.
it's air conditioned. They don't have window airs like we got.
No, it's got a bunch of them.
I see when they were putting that up, but it's like, damn, that's a big building.
Yeah. For
Now,
sure.
I'm really happy that you brought up Tori, because I think in our last one, her name maybe didn't get brought up at all. So,
I
you
got
know,
beat on
Tori
that, yeah.
is a big part of this whole Sweet Pain Pulling thing.
Yeah, and you should go to our Facebook Sweet Pain Polling Team, and if you got to flip through a ways now. I suppose that's been a year ago when she did that really cool video, which was like a recap of the whole thing in just like 2.5 minutes. It was a school assignment for her marketing media studies. She's going to college for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought I'd throw that out there, because otherwise Tori gets a little crabby. Don't you agree? Yeah. I could get you. I won't have to say that to Dad. I'll ask the brother. So, Sweet Pain Pulling.
Yeah.
Season just gets started. Before we get into that, you know, you said you started in Menno. Did I say that right?
Yep.
You know, your dad, was it before your dad, or did your dad kind of start it?
Yeah, so my grandpa Marvin actually started everything in the 60s, and then my dad and his two brothers were right there beside grandpa, and they got going in like farm tractor pulling stuff and started hopping that up. And then my dad went into the modified tractor class. He kind of went that route, and my one uncle went on the diesel super stock class, eventually went down that route. And then my uncle Gary went the snowmobile drag racing route. So a lot of people know the name Gary Ulmer, synonymous with hopped up snowmobiles, and now my cousin Alan has taken over that business, and was a factory drag racer. He started beating up on the factory drag race teams with snowmobiles, and then he became a factory. Yeah. And they realized the factories were cheating and he wasn't cheating. Then he became factory. So I witnessed that firsthand. I was at the race that happened.
Was he with Yamaha?
Yeah, that was Yamaha. But once you're in the race program, you get into all the different. At that time, there was 4 major brands.
Yep.
So he always got like prototype sleds and brand new sleds in the spring, which like this spring he would have got the 26s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be kind of cool.
Yeah. And so dad stayed in the modified class the whole time. You know, and in the beginning it was just a bunch of brothers and dad, and so you kind of all did it together, and then eventually started spreading out. And yeah, we could talk about their history for days.
Well, I gotta get a chair then.
Yeah. Machinists, fabricators, definitely always the kind of do-it-yourself kind of guys. And so to this day, they all run. Now my Uncle Gary is in tractor pulling also with my cousin Alan. He always built a lot of parts for him. My Uncle Mark always built a lot of parts for pulling tractors, and he's got several tractors of his own right now. My dad always stayed on the modified tractor class. So 44 Massey with a big black Chevy 396, 400 horse way back in like in the mid 70s. And then in 76, he built his first supercharged big black Chevy. And, they become less and less looking like a farm tractor.
Yep.
And,
Always Chevys.
Always big black Chevys. And, you get up till now. And, well, when I first started driving when I was 16. Dad drove the 7,000 pound class, and I drove the light class. And then in '99, we put a third engine on, and there was a lot of bouncing and rough rides in those days. And we started to realize that some of it had to do with the driver, or a lot of it had to do with the driver. And we decided that I was just going to drive just so you practice, you get. And
which is the way it should be now. I should just drive all the time.
Yeah,
just to make sure that we got that figured out.
We'll just have the best driver drive from here on out. So I guess he's out, and we'll have to wait till Trace comes at 16. But so now you get up to where we're at now. Dad and I started sharing driving duties again after we kind of got everything under control. And then when Ty was 16, then we started having him drive a little bit. and Dad's 73, and he would be here with us if he wasn't 110 miles away from us. We get him in the seat once or twice a year yet. So otherwise, we pretty well go 50-50 on the driving duties. And the points stay with the tractor.
Yep, that's
So in our deal,
racing.
Okay.
which is really nice, so we can move drivers around
Yep.
and whatnot.
Yep.
So I'm disappointed, to say the least, because I was really wanting to come. Because I didn't get to go to the shop the last time, Bud, when I got sick, and I want to see the tractor someday. So I'm going to come.
Oh, you're
someday
welcome to
see
stop
it.
over, yeah.
But I got that. You guys had the video out the other day starting it for the first time in the shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now, obviously, you cranked the first one over.
Yep.
Now you just start one motor at a time, then, and then does it
Yep.
start up? How does
Yep.
that
Yep.
work? Because I
Yep.
got ideas in my head, and I'm not going to say them because I want to look stupid.
Yep.
But
So
I don't even have ideas. So
I got ideas, but they're not always good ones.
we start from the front to back, and the front motor we start with aircraft starter, like
Yep.
off an old airplane, and we've got 36 volts to start that thing. So it's just a big starter, and we'll rotate the motor and fire it up.
That's a blower starter, so you just stick that right on,
right on
Yep.
the blower.
and then you can quick detach it, just like
Yep.
all the drag racers do.
Yep. So once that's running, then the driver or whoever's in the seat will give it some RPM, and then we engage our clutch on the second and third motor.
So when the driver they're all centrifugal clutches. So when you and we use a hand throttle, we got a foot on each brake. So when you are raising the RPM on that front motor that's running, then that engages that clutch and it spins the drive line, which you're in neutral, so you're not going anywhere. But then the input shaft on the other two engines are spinning, but they're not turning the engine over because they're centrifugal clutches. You know, you could put this thing in gear and roll it down a hill, and the engine won't spin over. They're just opposite of your. Again, very much
Well,
like
it's
any
probably
other
similar to a sprint car, right?
Well,
don't they
no
push
clutch.
down the road and they
Well, they
pushing
got
the
no,
clutch?
they're
They got
just,
no
no,
clutch.
they're in gear when they start them.
Yeah, they're just
Oh.
locked in.
They
Okay.
go put them in gear.
Yep.
You just push them, and it's just.
So
direct
it would
drive.
be like that, except if you had a clutch in between,
Sure.
and then we just engage the clutch and we start it.
And it fires the second engine, and then we do the exact same thing to the third engine. The driver raises the RPM of the front two engines, the drive line's spinning. You push the clutch pedal, which is backwards, right? You push it and engages the clutch, and the back motor spins over and fires up.
Yep.
So if you were to probably once every 15 years, we got to pull start the thing if everything goes to, hot.
Yep.
And the driver can reach the pedal from the driver's seat, so we can start the back motor, and then that one's running, and then the crew guy needs to engage one of the other clutches, and I'll raise the RPM, and it'll fire the other engine. You do the same thing to the next one. So I don't know if I got you all confused by now or not, but
So, because when you were starting them, it would rock just a little bit. I
Yeah.
suppose that each one would engage, then it would rock.
right
Just
when they
rock
fire,
out.
they woof,
Yeah.
woof,
Yep.
and they start loping usually. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, obviously, I noticed the mass
Oh,
when
yeah.
we were starting them. So,
Oh, yeah.
what's the fuel mixture, or what are we running for fuel in them?
It's alcohol, methanol
Just
alcohol.
you
methanol?
you gotta talk louder. No, don't worry about that. I
Oh.
just need you on here
Okay.
to talk louder.
Okay, menthol alcohol. So
Okay.
same as
Same
sprint
as
start.
Sprint
Yep.
Start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Except
same
we were
thing.
inside
Oh
because
yeah.
it was raining outside,
Yep.
and that doesn't.
Oh yeah. Well, you
You
can
would be
stand
crying
next,
and-
you can stand next to them outside. and
Yep,
Your eyes
yep,
are burning,
yep,
and we
yep.
still stand there to smell it, but.
Yeah. I saw the comments about COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And nitro,
Yeah.
nitromethane.
yeah, it cooked that COVID right out of the shop.
Oh, yeah. See, 'cause you go way back. My dad used to have an old M farm. I'll do the local little pulls at the fair and stuff. And he went over to, I want to say it was maybe even old Doc Bubna, if you go way back to the day, sold Dad a case of liquid ether.
No.
And he'd just pour that in the gas on that M farm ball. And he pulled one time at Rocky, and he told the one guy he was going to start out in second. He was going to power shift her into third. And the guy said, "You can't do that with an M farm ball." Well, the fire's flying out the stack because, we dumped a can of ether in. So it's like 8 ounces of ether into, 15 gallons of gas maybe when it was full. And Dad got it pulled off. He got her shifted and he went to the end of the track. And they unhooked him, and then he just went home. He didn't bother to go back for the trophy because he knew he was going to get busted for cheating.
Our rules are pretty open. You know, it's a little bit hard to cheat even because, I mean, yeah, you could do something in the fuel and whatnot, but
Yeah.
our class is, there's several different modified tractor classes across the United States, but there's the three largest organizations of tractor pulling in the United States are the PPL, which is mostly southeast in the U.S., the NTPA, which is the most recognizable national tractor pullers. They've been around since the early 70s.
Okay.
And they have the largest spread. And then there's the Outlaws. And the Outlaws are who we run with today.
Yep.
Dad and I ran with the NTPA forever. Dad ran for the NTPA for 25 years longer than I did. And the Outlaws have grown tremendously and have become outrageously popular.
Yep.
And it's mostly because of the people. And our modified tractor class has become something that hasn't happened. So we have outrageous diversity, and it's all because the guys in our class we can agree to disagree, and we can sit down at a table and talk to each other and completely disagree with each other. But at the end of the day, we make it happen for the fans,
Yep.
and we put on great shows.
Yep.
This weekend there were 10 guys in our class. We ran for the first time in the middle of Nebraska here this last weekend. Rained out Friday night, unfortunately, but Saturday night we ran. And a couple guys from Texas and like Houston, Texas, you know, long ways down.
Always, yeah.
And Iowa, of course, us in Iowa, but then, you know, further east, help me out here. We got northern Texas with the Griffin. That's a V12 Rolls-Royce Griffin with twin turbos, and it's intercooled. I mean,
We had a few people from
like
Nebraska.
outrageously unique. Yep, some Nebraska pullers. They run twin turbine engines, so they're out of Chinook helicopters. We're all we're at like 6,300 horse. The other guys are right. I mean, we're all right there.
Yeah.
63, 65. The turbines actually dyno in our rules. We got together and we made it happen so they were competitive. Like one of these engines is out of Miss Budweiser, out of the hydroplane. And they developed that engine to make more power than Miss Budweiser ever made. So, I mean, this is real stuff. And it's super, super competitive, like outrageously competitive. So there's 10 of us there. 9 of us are on a very elite level.
Yep.
You say that without a doubt.
Yep.
I mean, like you can go through everyone, an outrageous amount of championships and things they've done. You could like probably write a book on every one of them.
Yep.
Amazing. So, and Rock Valley, Iowa, July 11th and 12th, the Outlaws are there.
Yep.
And there'll be more of us there than what there was this weekend.
Yep.
But, you know, we were off a little bit on a few settings, a few on the engines, a little bit on the chassis setup, and we got 6th, which is 6 is not a place we want to be and not a place we're used to be.
Yeah.
But that's what happens
how
when,
competitive it
yeah,
is.
and
Oh, yeah.
the top 3 guys have been out and run a couple times.
Yep.
The guys that got first, second, and third Saturday night, non-outlaw events. One of them was an invitational that the fans vote on to get you to it, and our class has never been there. But like I said, we're really getting recognized, and now people are starting to pull us all over. And that was in Nashville, Illinois, east of St. Louis. We got invited to go, but we got invited like 2 months before the event, and there was no way we were going to make it. And it was middle of May, and you know, this year would have been fine with planting, with Dad, with my folks. They basically take care of the hauling rig. They get us there and they get us back.
So what was the top 5 in Nebraska? It was Hemis.
Chrysler Hem. So we have Chrysler Hemis, like the 426 Chrysler Hemi, super popular, right, in drag racing. And these are the best. These are the best of the best. Without a doubt, I'm not exaggerating one iota. So
Then you had the Chevy Hemi.
Yep. So then we have the Chevy Hemis that we run against. So if you remember like an Aries piston, you recognize that name, Aries?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Nick Aries, when he took the big black Chevy way back in like the 70s and made them aluminum, and then he put Hemi heads on them. Well, this now has, you know, developed and grown over the years, and now the Minor brothers own that, and they've developed it to the umpteenth degree, and they're Chevy Hemis. So
They're like our motors with a Hemi head on them.
yeah, but in basic terms, they're like our short blocks with
Yeah.
Chrysler Hemi heads on them. He actually one of those guys won.
Yep. The other guy got second. Then then Chrysler Hemi got third, and then Twin Turbines got fourth and fifth,
Yep.
and then 3 Chevys got sixth.
Yep. And then help me out.
Right behind us was
two.
it Urban?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Urbans, they're twin Hemis too, but that's an offshoot of the Aries engine, where it is they used them a lot in offshore boat racing. And so like the camshaft is so high in them that the push rods and the lifters are actually sideways, but they look like Chrysler Hemi heads. I mean, it's just,
wild.
yeah, it's pretty wild combination.
And the motors are twisted apart from each other. It looks really sweet.
Yep. And then the guy that got last probably has the most unique combination, or at least this weekend, and that's the V12 Rolls-Royce Griffin, which was a World War II fighter.
Yeah,
I mean,
fighter
that was
engine, yep.
that was the best thing they had in World War II in the fighter planes. And so that's a 4-valve dual overhead, or overhead on cam on each bank, twin plug. That's all factory. Dry sump. That was factory in 1942 or something like that. Factory.
Yep.
I mean, think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Everything I just rattled off, that was factory stuff in an airplane.
80 years ago.
Yeah,
That
80
was
years
factory.
ago.
And
Yep.
it's 2,300 cubic inches.
Yeah, 2,240 cubic inches.
Massive.
And
now it's got 2 turbos on it.
Yeah, and the turbos are 140 millimeters. So
Big turbos.
I got that right. They're 5 or 5.5 inch
Something like that.
each one.
Large.
So each one is capable of almost 4,000 horsepower.
Each one.
Each one. And he just came out with it right at the end of last year, the very last event of
So
last
it's
year.
a new setup.
And he was
So-
way too light on the front end, and so he just
Yeah,
stared at the sky the whole time. And he'll come around, super
Yeah.
intelligent guy.
But that tractor has won championships. Multiple.
Yeah, without the turbos.
Without the turbos, it's won.
When
multiple
he had,
championships.
it was a centrifugal supercharger standard or stock.
Yep.
Stock.
But you were talking about it being so competitive, and being we're more or less a racing podcast, you could say. But this is really cool, by the way. You're talking me just a little off on your chassis setup. We go to a lot of races. We watch a lot of races. Time trials, from 1st to 20th. Sometimes it's like 0.2 of a second. That's just a matter of your foot wiggling on the throttle. That slows you down that much, and you guys are pulling within 2 feet of each other in a what is the pull, 300 feet, or what's a full pull?
Well, modern pulling is there's no full pulls anymore,
Okay.
and so you go as far, it's all floating finish. And sleds, the way modern sleds work is they let you get up and run fast, and then they hit you really hard at the end.
Okay.
And by like 280 feet, they're done applying any more load.
Okay.
So if the sled guy that sets it all up, if he messes up a little bit, and let's say the winner is, let's say, at this weekend he was at 366 feet.
Yep.
And so the further that winning distance gets, usually the more stretched out the placings will get. So the difference between like 370 feet and 340 feet, let's say, so you got 30 foot there. But then if that winner, if the sled was made heavy and it was pulled back to like 310 feet, that 340 foot spot, which was 30 foot behind, it will probably be somewhere between 5 and 10 feet behind.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So
and we definitely judge off that as to how well we do. I wish we had ETs. That would be so much simpler.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Like a drag strip deal, but
like if our motors weren't the hottest we could make them, and if we didn't put it in the perfect spot, that could cost us 20 feet in a long pull like that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
In a shorter pull, it might be 5 or 10, and you feel better when you're only 5 or 10 feet away.
Yeah.
But
As long as you
it's all
understand
relative. Yeah, it's all relative.
So,
but
as long as I'm asking questions, I don't know nothing.
yeah,
about
go
it.
ahead.
What's the wheel speed on them things when you guys?
That's
are
another interesting thing. So the fastest wheel speed that I've ever had as a driver is 115. And those were the combine tire days where you literally, the tires came off combines and you shaved them down, you know, you'd take off 2 inches.
Yeah.
And, the track prep has gotten outrageously better, which is why in modern pulling, there's no dirt, there's no dust.
Sure.
You know, in the old days, it was
Oh,
so
yeah, you
dirty
can
and
see
dusty all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel old in the old days. I did a lot of those runs.
Well, you could see the guy on the sled sitting back there, and you couldn't see the poor fella. Oh, that's got to be. That point,
Yeah,
you made it now.
yeah.
So the track prep has really improved a lot, and tires have improved so much. But we've also made a lot more power.
Yeah.
So we literally in 2004 on the dyno we made we got it up to just 1,400 horse. Well, we were on the dyno in 2004.
One motor.
And today we're at 2,100, and the rules haven't changed. So we've literally increased by 50% in 20 years.
Sure.
Okay, but our tire speed has gone down all the way into the 70s because the tires and the track prep.
Yep.
And that's kind of crazy to me.
Yep.
That's
they
how
got
much
that
it's-
much more grip now. So.
We have that much more traction,
And the tracks are that much
and
better.
because of the traction, because of the tires.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That mean I can't imagine that's much different though from a sprint car. I mean, you have a sticky track, you can't run a fast gear or a fast.
No, you can't run that. You can't run your top speed.
Yeah,
gear
you can't.
'cause-
You won't touch. Yeah, you won't run your top speed.
No.
Yeah, we got the same stuff.
We have the
going
same
on.
thing.
Yep.
Same thing.
Now you guys do like almost all your own work on all the motors, everything in there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the last time I was in there, you guys had stuff everywhere.
Oh, yeah,
It's
And
completely
you were-
different now. You got
You
to
were
come
doing
back.
stuff off of computers, and you were, so how do you guys run your operation? I don't know the right
Yeah.
word to say.
No,
that,
that's a great way to ask it. So we're TIG welders, titanium, chromoly, aluminum, stainless. We have a CNC milling machine now in our shop. I built a fuel flow bench in 2007 because we have mechanical injection just like the sprint cars do.
Yep.
Basically, we basically have 2 sprint car systems. I mean, that's a real generic way to say it. And fab work, we fab everything.
Yeah. Everything from oil pans to modifying intakes to
Our philosophy is we try to buy the very best parts, and then
And
if we
modify
think we
them to
can
make
make them
them
better, we modify them to make them better. And the roll cage,
oh yeah.
we built
Yep.
we built the roll cage, built the chassis,
Yep.
rear end housings. My dad, my uncle Gary built the drop boxes, machined the gearboxes.
Yep.
The 3-speed tranny is a purchase part that's made specifically for tractor pulling.
Yep.
Now we just rebuilt it top to bottom here a couple weeks ago. We had a bunch of broken parts in there. We didn't know were broke.
Yeah.
And I just had an inkling to check a couple of things, and it just was a rabbit hole.
So, okay, that brings something else to my mind.
Mhm.
So, take me through a pull. So
Okay.
you come up to the line, you get back up to it.
Yep.
Now, are you shifting them when you go down the thing, or you start out and how does you said you had a 3-speed transmission,
Yep.
but just walk me through from the time you get hitched to when you get to the other end. What goes on?
Well, we always make a plan. A tremendous amount of everything has to do with what the track gives you and what God gives you in the air, the
Yep.
atmosphere, right? What's the density, altitude?
Yep.
That's what we go
All
off of
changes
is the DA.
Yep, your fueling and stuff.
Yeah, so we set the fuel, of course, before we go out on the track, right? Try to get as close as we can. I usually watch my app on my phone to see if the weather's going to be changing, if something's coming in. And pretty normal routine. Let's say like this weekend I'm driving, Ty and Dad are watching the track. Dad's usually watching other classes and seeing where they're running on the track, left to right. And if there's anything goofy going on that, we're out checking to see how hard is it, how much moisture is in it, what kind of dirt is it.
Yep.
Black sand, is it gritty? Is there anything down an inch? What's it like down there?
Sometimes it's crusted on the top, and you can just kind of see there's moisture underneath, and if nobody's running in a certain area, you can kind of tell that when you're walking the track.
And you got to learn what your tires like. And tires
yeah.
have changed an outrageous amount in the last 5 years. Firestone used to be our only choice. and they acted a certain way. Firestone got out of the tractor pull and tire business, and now all these small companies have popped up.
Okay.
And so that has just been, honestly, it drives you insane. Because like the tires we have on today, literally like the opposite of what the Firestones did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're getting another new set this summer, and we got a new
But
set
they
to
make
start.
what they have the traction is better.
The traction overall is better.
But they just like different track conditions, and you have to adjust differently.
Yep.
So it was an improvement, but then you still have to learn what that tire likes and doesn't like.
Yeah.
So do you deal with air pressure?
Oh
Then?
yeah.
Yeah. So
A ton?
air pressure, how much weight is on the front end, gear ratio, and the driving style.
So
Yep.
what do you run for air pressure in the back tires?
Usually 2 to 5.
Okay. About like
Nobody
a car.
really in the mods in our wide tire. That's about the range, but it depends. It totally
Yeah, the other
depends.
classes, different size tires, they run
run
wildly different numbers.
But it can change. It can change the whole profile of the tire between 2 pounds and 5 pounds. It'll raise and lower it. It'll expand different spots in the tire. So you can lose. I mean, if you run 5 pounds, it doesn't work. You could take it to 3 pounds and it'll work. So
Yeah, and the tires really expand. I mean, if you watch really close on the videos, you can see, when, especially if it's a track where you can get on it really hard to start with. And usually most people, the common crowd watcher is going to think that we get on it really hard coming out of the hole.
Yeah. But you gotta get it rolling
It
first.
depends on the track.
Yeah.
So the key is to watch the butterflies. So
Sure. See where they open on the.
Yeah, so we made ours black, so it's really hard for the competitors to see the butterflies.
The little things.
Yep.
So okay, so you've done the track checking. You know
Yep.
what the track's like.
Yep.
You're hooked up to it now.
Yep.
It's tight. You're
Yep.
getting ready to drop the hammer.
Yep.
Walk me through what goes on there, quick.
Well, me. I mean, you can say how you do it. I think I know, but so you have your path usually picked out because you're set up for a particular spot in the track. Now, a lot of tracks it doesn't matter because they're pretty even across. The worse the track builder is, the trickier it is to get stuff hooked up. So we have a really good track builder that travels around with the Outlaws, and he runs one of the sleds. There's actually 2 sled operators that are really good. So when we hook onto somebody's, if we're somewhere where their sled is not, those are the hardest ones to run on. 3 years ago, Dad and I were down in De Leon, Texas, which is southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth, and it was like, okay, Dad, are we going to run on this track? Or are we going to run on this track? Because it was 2 completely different tracks.
I remember.
And I mean, on the same track.
Yeah. Just
And-
half was different.
Yep. And generally speaking, the great big tires like we have, and you got these little tiny 1/8-inch bars on them. Generally speaking, we like a really soft track, like almost spongy when you walk on it. And we chose the really hard side of the track, and we ended up winning the event. Well, the key was I had to keep it there. And the key was that our setup was for that part of the track. And it was right up against the white line.
So
And if you go to Sweet Plain Polling Team and go back, you'll see actually my mom was standing too close to the track, frankly. And it was pretty cool because I just zipped right down it. But if I would have let it go over to the other side, it'd have completely pooched our run.
But that was a premeditated move, though.
Oh, yeah.
It was you set the sled there, and you got backed up. They dropped the hook, and in your brain, you were going, "This is where I'm gonna run. I'm gonna go right here."
Yeah, and you keep it there with the brakes.
Yep. And
So
and then you
can
steer.
you ask the guy to put the sled on a certain side of the track?
Yep,
or
you
just-
set
wherever
it.
you want.
Wherever you
set
want,
it.
put it where you want it. Okay.
Yep. And
you
you
can
can
have
point the
them,
sled.
yeah, you can have them angle it. I mean, you can have them do kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Very first time Ty ever drove, he was first hook, the class first hook. You can choose to not take it, right?
Okay.
So he took off and went right out of bounds. And you don't really know. And I had been telling Dad, I think there's something going wrong with the brakes, or there's something going wrong on our rear end. Those are the 2 major contributors to being able to control where you go on the track. And anyway, he ran, and I'm like, okay, now I'm pretty convinced that there's something's not right with that right brake. And
I had football thighs, so there was no way I didn't hit that brake hard enough.
Yeah. And we catalog all that now.
Now we
know
do, yeah.
exactly. There's no.
So I can say that. I can say that with confidence. So
Yeah.
There's no data to back me up.
I'll back you up.
Yeah.
But then there was a couple veterans that went down the track, and they also struggled with letting it go that way. And it was like, okay, this is in the track. This is not our tractor necessarily.
Sure.
But yet in the back of my mind, I still thought there was something going, which later we did find issues with what we had. So we told the sled operator to point it like this. And so so you're pointing it out of bounds. And so his run was a banana shape,
Okay.
and he won the event.
Run it next to the right-hand side. Just missed the
It
white
was
line
probably
and
going to
end
pull
up-
you that way, but you were
Is
aimed
it-
away from it where
Sure.
you could
Okay.
try to drive around
Yep.
it.
So you can do stuff like that.
Yep.
Last time we were talking, they weren't really streaming much at all yet.
Right.
Are places streaming you guys
Yes.
now full time?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, we had Outlaw TV for a couple years. Previous to that, CBS Sports was following the Outlaws, and now those three, two of the three major organizations that I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
the NTPA and the Outlaws, have gone together, and you can watch all that as long
And
as you
PBL. All three can.
subscribe to Full Pull TV.
Okay.
So the Outlaw TV went away because they joined up all together, their forces together, and yeah. So you subscribe to
Pull TV.
Full Pull TV.
Yep.
Another
And then-
subscription we gotta get, bud.
Yeah.
But you can watch a lot of polling. I mean, there will be 1 or 2 events every weekend.
Yeah,
at
this
least.
weekend they had
Three.
3 on Friday night and 3 different ones on Saturday night. I think it was one of them was a different event.
So, any idea what is that a monthly deal? Is that a
Yeah.
year deal? What?
$40 a month.
$40 for a month.
Yep. And there's also betting now too, so you can go on and see. I don't know. I've never even been on it, other than I can say I've been standing in line before to get food, and I had the guy in front of me turn around and go, "You lost me a lot of money last night." Bet on you. Sorry, I was trying to win.
Yep.
I knew you bet on me. That's why I was holding back.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
We lost a lot of money too.
I'll be honest, every time I check, so I think it's Full Pull Bets is what it's called.
Okay.
And every time I check it, if you put money on us, we're always 1-to-1. So meaning if you put $50 in, you damn well better make top 2, otherwise you're just going to lose your $50, but you don't gain any money from betting on Sweet Pain because we're always at the top. So
Now, speaking of that, there's a reason. A little bit of the history also is how many championships do you have and all that stuff. Give us a little bit of a rundown on how many championships and stuff you have. I mean, again, this is in Larchwood, Iowa. It's only 5-6 miles from Leicester. So, this is another great accomplishment thing here.
For
You
a little
know,
old line
we always
county.
brag about Fulkins Brothers with them sponsoring Kyle Larson and Aaron
Yeah, right.
Reitzel, and they're
Very
on
cool.
Caleb Johnson now. But I mean, you guys are right there,
Oh, yeah.
too. I mean, you guys are about as famous as they come when it comes to, tractor pulling.
Well, thanks for that. Dad has, I don't even know how many championships Dad has in the South Dakota Tractor Pulling Association years. And then in the late 80s and through most of the 90s, did not run full time. And I started driving in 95. And so we didn't even, you can't win a championship if you don't run every event, right? So then when we went to 3 engines in 99, we decided that we were going to run full schedules. And we did that for 3 years. We won the Enderley Pull-Off Points series, and which is they're looking for the top 6 mod tractors in the United States. And then, so we were fortunate enough to do that. We got second in the region points NTPA, one of those years. And then we switched to Outlaws, and we didn't run full time for a while. Then I started looking at the years, and I'm like, man, if we could keep our average where it's at, we could win these championships. And so, in 2011, we ran full time, and we won that championship. we built 7 engines that year. We built 4 to start the season, 1 spare. And then throughout the season, we had to build 3 more because we wrecked so much stuff that year. And we got really lucky because a lot of times it was right at the end of the run, so it didn't mess up our placings. After that, it was like, oh my God, we have to get reliable
full season too.
Yeah.
So you wreck all them motors, and it's like, was it really a good idea to go full time?
Yeah.
But,
so then in 2012, we were doing really good all season. We had a little bit of ignition problems right at the end of the year, and we ended up getting second. 13 and 14, we didn't run full years. Then we won it in 15, 16, 17, 18. And in 19, we got second by 2 points.
Yep.
20 was the COVID year, and we won it in 21, 22.
Yep.
And then 23, we got second by 2 points.
Right at the end.
Right at the end. And then we got second again last year. So we're kind of sick of seconds.
Yeah. Well, we've got 8 championships with the Outlaws.
Yeah. Dad won 1 in 94.
Okay.
Yeah, the year before. And there wasn't near as many events then in the Outlaws, and we weren't even really outlaw guys. He just went and ran those, and yeah. So that was totally.
But there's no other mod in outlaw history that has more.
Oh, we just found this out. It's actually in all of the classes of the Outlaws, we're the second most winningest team.
Really?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of all, and my shirt, if somebody picks it out, it says 6 on here. That's wrong.
Misprint on the shirt.
No, it's an old shirt.
Well, yeah.
So you got to tell a story about Sweet Pain.
Okay.
I mean, how did that name come about? Isn't there a story about that?
Yeah, so it's before me. It was in the mid to late 70s, and my folks were trying to figure out what they had to put a name on this thing. And so I guess my aunt and then we're sitting at the table, and she says, well, just explain it to me. What do you think of it? And he's like, oh, most of the time it's a real pain. I work on it all the time, and all the long hours and all that, and stuff breaks, doesn't go your way. But man, when it's working, it's really sweet. And then that's where the Sweet Pain name came from. And
well, that's cool, though.
Which that is. I mean,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's there's a lot of pain, a lot of effort that goes into it, but
It's
at the same time, it's pretty damn sweet.
Right?
It's a motorsport.
Yeah, it is.
As the old saying goes, if it's got tits or tires, it's going to give problems at some point in time. And,
For sure.
And when you're stressing it every time you take it out and run it.
Yep.
You're not just taking it down the street on a Sunday afternoon drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same as our racing that we go to. You're testing everything to the max every time you take it down the track.
Yep.
And if you don't have it perfect, it's not going to work right, and things are going to fly apart. And it's that fine line that is what's really amazing about the whole thing.
Yeah, and if those parts are lasting too long, then that means it's too heavy, right? Then
Yep,
you got to make it lighter.
You gotta make it lighter.
Oh, I made it too light.
Yeah,
you
it's too light. The rod flew out the side.
Yep.
So, one more question. We don't want to keep you guys here all night because I keep coming up with things in my mind. But when we do sprint car racing, they roach out a set of tires every night on the dirt track. How many pulls can you get with a set of tires? Can you run a whole season on one set of tires?
Yeah, so a set of tires is about $16,000, and you can't buy individuals.
You got to buy a pair.
So if you wreck one, you got to buy a pair.
Yep.
And just like the rollouts that the sprint car guys do, we're doing the same stuff. Which, by the way, our the diameter of our tires changes about 8 inches when we're wide open.
Sure.
They grow. It lifts the drawbar about 4 inches when you.
Just like watching a drag car go down.
Yep.
You watch them when they do their burnout, them tires shrink to half the size, it looks like.
Yep. And with all that, the way I was talking about the tracks and how much better they have gotten over the years, and you don't have the dust and dirt and stuff like that, that's what saves our tires. Some tracks, once in a great while, we'll get to with rocks in it. So this is my 31st year driving, so I've been to a few events, and then my folks had me to 60 events before I was 1 year old. I was born in January, and so I caught that first season. And I've been to events where guys won't unload their tractor because the track has rocks in it. It's like they're going to wreck their tires.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. You know, that was probably 30 years ago. I've been to events where all the pullers and all the crews and everybody go out on the track and pick rocks. That stuff doesn't fly anymore because that event will have no competitors at it next year.
Yeah. Nobody's coming
That
back.
stuff is all gone. So your tires can last a really, really long time.
How much fuel in one run?
Yeah, good question. So we're burning right at 10 gallons in 11 seconds.
Okay.
Yep.
So-
A run is between 11 and 12 seconds wide open. And then that's including driving on the track and backing up.
Yeah.
But we're
Well,
right at
doesn't-
10.
That's not where it takes the fuel, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fuel is where your power is,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But you can't be too rich, you know, no different than any sprint car engine.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
What was I gonna ask?
I don't know. We get lost periodically.
Yeah.
But we're Chevrolet, big block Chevy. At one point in time, there was an outrageous amount of competitors using big block Chevy, and now we're the minority. And one of the disadvantages, there never became a really good engine builder for supercharged, all-out big block Chevys.
Okay.
But there was, from the drag racing world, all these Chrysler Hemi engine builders were well established, and they just kept growing it better and better and better. So we're definitely the minority. And so we're developing our own stuff. That could be a really good thing, because if you're ahead of the curve, nobody
Yep.
else has it.
Yep.
If, you know, especially if they're running Chevrolets, they can't come in. But if you're behind the curve, you're really screwed because
Yeah.
you have nobody to go to.
So
Yep.
now you guys are doing most of your own work.
Yep.
So, you know, we ain't gonna figure out cost on here. But so say some other teams go to these Hemi builders and buy a motor. What's a motor cost for a tractor?
Just this weekend, one of our competitors told he sold one of his used engines for $65.
A used one, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll be, if it's top to bottom, top hat, injection hat, down pan, ignition, fuel, the whole thing, clutch, it's going to be like right around 100.
Okay.
Yep. And that's everything new, and
Yeah.
that's every single piece. I mean, injection hats don't go bad. You know, some of that stuff can be around for a very long time.
Valve
And,
covers.
and it can be welded in and
oil
machined
palms.
out and all that. So, but with the development side of things, I felt like I was kind of peaking out. Like, so we have no practice runs. We have
Yeah.
any of that stuff.
No hot laps.
No hot laps. No any of
no-
that.
no
It's-
practice.
No
we
practice.
make one run a night. That's it. You either do it or you don't do it. And as competitive as it's become, so we're putting in an engine dyno at my place right now. We were hoping to make a couple pulls on it before the season started, but we'll be able to handle 3,500 horse. And I suppose if some of my neighbors are listening, well, most of them know. I told them already, but shouldn't be so bad. We have a truck muffler per cylinder, so we have
cylinder.
so we have 8 mufflers. So we can our exhaust system, our muffler system is supposed to handle 4,000 horse without inhibiting the power. You know,
Okay, yeah,
screwing
without
up the
restricting
test at
it.
all. Yeah. So we're super excited about that in order to really take our engine program to the
If
next
you're
level.
gonna run that sometime,
Yeah, we
Give
might
Bud a
have
call.
might have to let us know.
I got to go to Pennsylvania, full construction in Pennsylvania. We were out to Ryder, which is one of the big engine builders for sprint cars, and they told us we just walked through the shop, and the guy was running one through the dyno, so we got to go stand in the little room with him while he run it. That's really cool.
Oh yeah.
You get the sensation, the feel of the power, and they're putting out 900.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, they're awesome.
You know, so
awesome
you know
engines.
you're half again as much or more. You know, at 1,400 or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of different deal. You know, I mean, how many nights are they putting on a 410, a top running 410? I mean, all
And a
like
lot of
the
them go-
Fulkins car. You know,
A lot
how
of
many
them
nights?
go laps now. I think
Okay.
they'll run like 500 laps, which is 10 to 12 nights probably.
And
And they send them in to get freshened.
And I'm sure that world is very much like our world in the fact that the technology has changed and people have learned so much. In the days when we were making 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 horsepower, we were wrecking parts left and right.
Yeah.
I mean, like crankshafts in 15 runs, head gaskets if you got 15 runs without them just blowing out. I mean, like hanging out. You felt good. You
Yeah,
know,
good. You had a
10
good run.
runs on bearings. And again, those runs were only 12, 13 seconds long.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking, we only run for 3 minutes a season.
Yep.
But now,
That's incredible when you
it
think
took a
about
little
that.
bit for you to catch that one.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my
3 minutes in a
god.
season.
In a season, yeah.
Yeah.
So nowadays, again, like I said, 50% more horsepower, and we don't wreck any of that stuff.
Yeah.
We're making that much more power, and we don't wreck it.
3 minutes of an awesome adrenaline rush.
yeah, yeah.
Well, minute and a half.
Yeah, right.
Sponsors.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great to mention them since they help you out a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. We always talk about Richards Repair right there in Larchwood. They're awesome. Lee Richards is awesome. Lee has grown that tremendously. That's they just celebrated their 15 year out at that location.
Really, it's been 15 already.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're up to 48 employees out there.
Yeah.
And it's all payloaders and over the road trucks and your heavy equipment like that. They just put a bunch of expansion on, big truck wash and a whole other building just for doing fabrication work. And they were doing a bunch of that, like line boring of payloader repair. But what most people don't realize is that so they have a dyno there for the trucks, and they do all the truck shop work for all the truck shops in Sioux Falls. Those guys all bring their dyno work out.
Really?
So if they rebuild an engine in Sioux Falls, they'll bring it out, and it's once in a while they break them on the dyno.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, you should have taken it to Richards to start with.
Yep.
But then also another thing most people don't realize is they have 5 mobile trucks on the road.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for them to be fixing something in Rapid City or Western Nebraska or all these cattle lots that are down
Northeast Nebraska.
Northeast Nebraska.
Sure.
They are all over the place, and they're highly dedicated.
Yep.
So, kudos to the work that they do over there.
Does Lee still have an old Chevy?
Oh yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, I don't know if it's the same one, but he brought it out to school. It was like on a Saturday or Sunday and nobody was there. And he just lit it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's a lot of power. But yeah.
Yeah, so he had some he's got a couple cars there. So what was his diesel repair shop there on his place, on his acreage now. So that's the race car shop now for him. The diesel shop moved out. And the last one is a Pro Mod car. So the previous car to that was a black. Of course, everything he has is black. If you ever notice, it's all black, way cool. Black and chrome,
Yep.
Yeah,
pretty cool. And that's why if you look on the fenders, there's a big chrome wrench on Sweet Pain.
Yep.
That's on our fender.
Okay.
Yep.
That thing is cool.
Yep.
And it's of course it's a snap-on wrench. I had to say that.
Yeah, right.
He's snap-on man.
That could be a paid sponsorship if the right guy's listening.
Never heard Stan throw it out yet.
Yeah. So he had a steel body 50. He still does steel body 55 Chevy, and he had nitrous cars and stuff before, and he wanted to build a supercharged engine, and that's how we started to get to know each other.
Okay.
And so he started hanging out a little bit. We started talking, and then and a lot of people know Brett Hansen, which would also be a Westline graduate, and Brett and I worked back together a lot. Super talented guy, and so he had got a hold of me, and together then we did that for Lee's 55 steel body. We helped with that, and Lee does a lot, tremendous amount too. And then he got a Pro Mod car, also a 55. Oh, I should say he had to have 555 cubic inches in his 55 Chevy, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That just sounds good.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
like a 2,000 horse motor in that. And he did a little bit
steel car.
in the steel car, and that he did some no prep racing with that. And then the Pro Mod car, that's the real deal. It's a super fast setup, and that's got a screw supercharger on it, and that's a big block Chevy, forged aluminum block. We did a tremendous amount of that a year ago, and that's over 3,000 horse.
Yep. That'll go. Well, I don't know about 8th mile stuff, but it'll go like 5.8 or 6.0 in the quarter.
Yeah, that's mostly an 8th mile car.
That'll be an 8th mile car, but
It's crazy.
Just for you guys, Mark Ham's a phenomenal family.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Yeah, we know Mark well.
Jeanette Ulmer. I'm not
Or
sure.
my sisters.
Your sister? Okay. Well done, guys. I learned a few things. So I don't know, you guys are going to have some
Oh.
family reunions.
Yeah.
A little better time.
Right.
We'll have to have more shows.
Yeah.
I'm sure by the time I get home, I'm going to be like, why did you ask that, Tony?
Write them down and we'll have another show.
Absolutely. I mean, this is absolutely great. I mean, obviously we love sprint car racing, but we love any kind of racing, and to have you guys in our backyard, we don't have you on there enough. But thanks for coming over tonight.
We took an hour of their time already.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't think it was that long because I'm not even tired of standing here yet. So we've been having fun.
Do you realize it's been an hour? We've been talking for 54 minutes. That's pretty good, isn't it? What do you hope to do someday?
Drive.
Drive? Is that your goal? All right, that sounds
It
good.
doesn't sound like sweet pain pulling's going to end anytime soon. Then I'm guessing.
Well, we certainly don't want it to. It takes a lot, and it takes all of us. It takes what my parents have built up through all the years, and it takes everything that we do. And it's like we're not here if they're not there, and vice versa, for sure. It's definitely taxing on everybody. But that's the pain part, and the sweet part is all the rest of it.
Yep.
Get to enjoy it, so.
There you go.
The sweet part's
sweet
that
pain.
pull in the end there when you make
And
it.
there's the championships at the end of the year.
Yep.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, thanks again for coming. And, Facebook page is it
Sweet Pain Pulling Team.
Yep.
all right?
And that's what we're most active on.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's definitely the one to follow. Yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything else, Dope?
Like I said, I'll have 10 of them on the way home.
All
But
right.
for now, I'm going to draw a blank. So
Sounds good. Thanks again so
Yeah.
much for being on. Did you just get one big thing there? What's up?
I don't think I get my glasses. I can speak from experience for those 3 Chevys are a heck of a rush
Flying by.
flying by you. Okay. Same for 2410s at full song.
So Mark Ham is a photographer.
Okay.
And
So he's
and
sitting there as
and
they're
he's out of
flying by
Sioux
you.
Falls, yeah. And so I don't know how many years ago it's been already that we first started to get to know him, and being kind of local to each other, you have a connection there, and he does a great job. So Ham Boys Toys is his gig. He was into toys at one time, and it's become more into photography, and super good guy. And he is now at Huset's. This year is his
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Oh.
So
We'll have
great
to-
big long
Hey,
beard. He's
stop by
sporting
and
a
say
big
hi,
beard.
Mark.
You'll see him.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks again, guys, for
Yeah.
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Thank you.
We're still on Facebook.
We're still live, so don't say anything real bad yet.
I'll keep that rude comment to myself.